Hey everyone, welcome back to another video by Simplilearn. This is Harsh Bhardwaj and today we will learn about C++ inheritance. So without further ado, let's get started. So in this session, we will learn about what is C++ inheritance, why do we use inheritance in C++, then we will understand different modes of inheritance, and after that we will learn about types of inheritance, that is single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance and hybrid inheritance in C++. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to never miss an update. So, what is inheritance in C++? Just like a child inherits the behavior and characteristics from his or her parents, similarly, inheritance in C++ is a process in which the derived class acquires all the properties and characteristics from the parent class, that is the base class. Derived class is also known as child class and base class is also known as parent class. Inheritance is one of the most important feature of C++ OOPS, that is object-oriented programming. In inheritance there are two types of classes. The class which inherits the properties and behavior from the base class is known as derived class, and the class whose properties or characteristics are inherited is called a base class. Now let's understand why we use inheritance in C++. Inheritance is used in C++ because it increases the reusability of the code and it helps in removing the redundancy. To understand it, let's suppose there are two classes, two-wheeler and four-wheeler. Both of the classes contain similar functions like color, brand and mileage. Now if we create these classes, we have to create all the three functions in both of the classes, or in other words, we have to write the same code two times in both of the classes. So instead of writing that code again and again, we can use inheritance and create a parent class named class vehicle, and both of the two-wheeler and the four-wheeler classes will be inherited from this parent or base class. Now with inheritance, we have inherited both the classes from one base class, that is class vehicle. Now we no longer have to write the code again and again, and we can simply write the functions once in the base class, as both of these classes are inherited from the base class vehicle. So as we have understood about inheritance in C++ and why we use inheritance in C++, so now let's go ahead and learn about modes of inheritance. There are three modes of inheritance in C++, that is public mode, protected mode and private mode of inheritance. So let's start with the public mode. In this mode of inheritance, the public members of base class remains public in derived class, and same goes for the protected members. That means inside the base class, the class members that are public will remain public in the derived class, and similarly protected class members will remain protected in derived class. Now protected mode. In the protected mode, the public and protected members of the base class will become protected in the derived class. That means the class members which are public or protected in the base class will all become protected in the derived class. In the private mode of inheritance, protected and public members of class will become private in the derived class. So now let's go ahead to the types of inheritance. So there are various types of inheritance in C++, that is single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance and hybrid inheritance. So let's start with the single inheritance. In this type of inheritance, a single derived class is inherited from the single base class. It allows the derived class to inherit properties and behavior from the parent class. The derived class objects can access the members of the base class, but the base class objects cannot access the members of the derived class. So now let's have a look at the syntax. As we know, this is single inheritance, so there will be only a single derived class and a single base class, and this is how we derive a child class from a parent class. Class keyword, then the name of the derived class, then the colon operator. After that there is an access modifier with the base class. Now as we have understood about single inheritance and its syntax, now let's move on to multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance. When a class inherits from more than one base class or multiple base classes, then it is known as multiple inheritance. It allows us to inherit properties and characteristics from more than one base class. Syntax for multiple inheritance is class keyword with the name of derived class, then the colon operator and access modifier with the name of the base class separated with comma and the name of another base class. Here we have shown only two base classes, but we can make more than two base classes depending upon our requirement. Now coming to multi-level inheritance. In this type of inheritance, the derived class is inherited from another derived class. That means when a class extends a class that further extends another class is known as multi-level inheritance. For example, if there are three classes A, B, C and class C is inherited from class B and class B is inherited from class A, then it can be called as a multi-level inheritance. Syntax of multi-level inheritance is as follows. Base class 2 is derived from base class 1 and the derived class is derived from base class 2. These base class 1, base class 2 and derived class are just the names, not a syntax. You can write whichever name you want with the class. Now let's learn about hierarchical inheritance. In this type of inheritance, more than one class is inherited from a single base class. That is, there would be a single base class and multiple derived classes, which have the properties and features same as that of the base class. As we can see in the figure and in the syntax, the derived class 1 is derived from base class, and similarly derived class 2 and derived class 3 are also derived from the base class. So this was hierarchical inheritance, and our next type of inheritance would be hybrid inheritance. The hybrid inheritance is the combination of more than one type of inheritance, and it can be said that it is a combination of multi-level and hierarchical inheritance. In the figure we can see the base class 1 is the parent class of derived class 1 and derived class 1 is the parent class of derived class 3, which makes it multi-level inheritance. But if we look at it in this way, that the base class 1 is the parent class of derived class 1, derived class 2 and derived class 3, then it is hierarchical inheritance, as multiple classes are inherited from a common base class. So we can say it is a combination of more than one type of inheritance or a hybrid inheritance. So as we have understood about inheritance in C++, so now let's go to its practical aspect and do some examples on our code editor, that is VS Code. So this is our Visual Studio Code, and now we will do an example of inheritance. We'll start by doing the single inheritance example, in which we will make a parent class and a child class. And let's start. First of all, we'll create a file, and let's name this file as, let's name it inherit.cpp. So here we will do an example in which we will create two classes, a base class and a derived class, and we'll create functions in those classes, like we'll create one function in base class and one function in derived class, and using the object of derived class we will access the member of parent class or base class. So let's start. First of all, we'll include the header files, hash include iostream. Now the namespace standard using namespace std. Now we'll create a base class first, then afterwards we'll create the main function. Alright, so let's create the base class. Let's say the name of the base class or the parent class would be beverage, and inside this class let's make the scope public, and now let's create a function, as we have said, drinks. So this is a function and we will print something inside this function. So let's say we are printing all drinks are available. All drinks are available. Now we'll write endl. Now we will use semicolon in the end of the class. So this is our base class and we have created a function drinks and we have printed a message, all drinks are available. Alright, now we will create another class which is derived class or child class. We will write class coffee is the name of the derived class, and use the colon operator, public access specifier, and the name of the base class, that is beverage. Alright, now we'll write public access specifier inside this class, and we will create a function in this class also, like let's say the name of the function would be mocha. It is a kind of a coffee, so mocha, and we will print that mocha tastes good, tastes the best, I would say. Okay, now let's use the colon operator in the end of the class. So here we have created the parent class or base class and this derived class or child class. So now we will create the main function where we'll do the calling. So now we will create the object of child class. So our child class is coffee, and now we will create the object that is C, the name of the class and the object. Okay, now we will use the object with dot operator and call this function that is drinks. And now using the same object we will call the mocha. The spelling is wrong. Yeah, now it is right. Mocha. So using the object of child class, here we are calling the drinks function, which is of the parent class. So let's see if it works or not. Let's save it and now run it. As you can see, all drinks are available and mocha tastes the best. Both of these are getting printed. That means the object of child class is able to access the member of the parent class. So this is inheritance, when the child class acquires or inherits the behavior or characteristics from a parent class or access the members of the parent class. This is an example of single inheritance. So now let's do another example of multiple inheritance. So let's create a new file and name it as inherit2.cpp. Alright, now here we will do an example of multiple inheritance in which we will create two base classes and a derived class. As we know that in multiple inheritance there are more than one base classes to a single derived class. So let's start. First of all, we'll include the header file. Now we'll use the namespace standard, and now we will create a class that is the base class and we'll name it as party. So class party. Inside this base class we will first of all declare the public scope, and now we will declare a variable, let's say meals. So now we will create a function, and in this function we will take the input from the user about the number of meals to enter the number of meals. So let's start void food. This is the function name, and first of all we'll display the message saying that enter number of meals. Alright, now we will take the input and meals is the variable. Now we will use the semicolon at the end of this class. So in this function we are taking the input of the number of meals. Now in the other class, that is another base class, we will take the input of number of drinks from the users, and then in the derived class we figure out the total bill of the party. Alright, now we will create another base class that is drinks, not drinks, drinks. Alright, now we'll write the public scope, and similarly we'll create or declare another variable drink, and then now we will create a function. Let's say the name of the function is liquor. Alright, now inside this function we will take the input from the user regarding the number of drinks. So we'll display the message enter the number of drinks. So the user will enter the total number of drinks used in the party or consumed in the party. Similarly goes for the meals. Now we will take the input and we'll write drink. Alright, now we have created this liquor function. Now we will use the semicolon at the end of the class. So here we have created both the base classes, that is class party and class drinks. Now we have to create the derived class. So this is an example of multiple inheritance. So we will create the derived class and use the colon operator. Now we will write the public specifier, and the name of the base class, first base class would be party, separated with comma. The second base class would be drinks. Alright, so this is how we can do that. Now inside this class we will first of all create three variables. Let's say int total meals, int total drinks, and int total bill, because in the end we have to find out the total bill. Alright, now inside the public scope we will create a function name as total. Now inside this total function we will write the logic to calculate the total bill. So what we'll do is, first of all write the total meals equals meals into the price of a single meal. Let's say the price of a single meal is 90, so the total product would be stored in total meals. Alright, now we'll do same for total drinks, not frinks, equals drink into, let's say the price of a single drink is 60. Yes. Alright, now after that we have to compute or calculate the total bill. Total bill would be the addition of both of these, total meals plus total drinks. So we'll simply do the addition over here, total drinks. So once it's calculated, we'll simply display a message saying that the total bill for the party is, and we'll write the variable that is total bill, where the total bill is actually getting stored. Alright, after this we will use the semicolon. So this is the derived class. Here we have calculated the total money spent in the party. So now we have to write the main function where it all started. Inside the main function, first of all we will create the object of child class. So we know that our child class or the derived class is bill. So bill is the derived class and b would be the object. So using this b, we will first of all call a function that is food function. So by calling this, we will take the input of number of meals. Now we will call another function named liquor. Alright, using this function, calling this function, we will take the number of drinks from the user. Now we will call this total function. So this will calculate the total money spent in the party, and after that let's say return 0. We are calling all of these functions using the object of derived class, and this is where multiple inheritance is going on. So let's see whether it works or not. We will save it and we'll try to run this. Enter number of meals, as we can see. Enter number of meals. Let's say the number of meals would be 20. It was a short party. Then enter number of drinks. 17 would be. So our total bill for the party is 3270, which is the correct answer. So this is how we can do multiple inheritance, and this is a fine example of multiple inheritance. Now let's do another example. So let's name this one as inherit3.cpp. Alright, so here we will do an example of multi-level inheritance, and we know that in multi-level inheritance a single derived class is inherited from another derived class. Or in other words, we can say a class extends a class which further extends another class, then it is called a multi-level inheritance, as the name suggests. So we will do example of that. In this example we will calculate the marks of a student scored by him in 3 subjects. We will calculate the total marks scored by him using multi-level inheritance. So let's do this. So first of all we will include the header file #include iostream. Then we will write the namespace standard. Now we will create the class, base class chemistry. Alright, in this class first of all we will make the public scope and marks1. So here we will take the input of marks scored by that particular child in this chemistry subject. So we'll create the chemistry function, void chemistry. It is of same name as that of class, so let's say chemistry marks. Alright, now we will display the marks scored in chemistry. Enter the marks scored in chemistry. Spelling is wrong. Okay, now we'll take the input marks1. So the student will enter the marks. After that let's put semicolon in the end. Now we'll create another class named physics, which is inherited from chemistry class. That is, chemistry class is its base class, chemistry. Alright, so in this class we will do the same, public int marks2. Now we'll write void physics marks. We'll do the same as we have done in the previous class. So now we will display a message saying that enter the marks scored in physics. Alright, now we will take the input in marks2. Alright, so now we will put semicolon in the end of this class as well. So now we know that this physics class is inherited from this chemistry class. That is, the chemistry class is the base class of physics class. Now we'll do same for maths, like class maths, which is inherited from the physics class. We will write physics. Inside this class as well we'll do the same, and as you can see, this physics class is the base class of maths and the base class of physics class is chemistry. So this is a multi-level inheritance. So in this class we'll do the same, public scope, and now after public scope int marks3 is the variable we have declared, and we will declare another variable in this one like total, because we have to find out the total marks. Now function maths marks, inside this one we will display the message that enter the marks scored in maths. Alright, now we'll take the input marks3 and we'll write the semicolon in the end. So here we have created all of these three classes, which is of multi-level inheritance. As you can see, we have taken the input from the user of its maths, physics and chemistry marks. Now we'll do the total. So we have to do the total inside this class only. So the name would be result function. So the total variable that we have declared is equal to marks1, marks2 plus marks3. So physics, chemistry and maths marks, we will add all of them and then we will display the total. Alright, now this is done. Now we have to go to the main function. Now first of all we will create the object of child class maths. Once this object is created, now we can call the functions, as it can access the base classes. So chemistry marks first of all, then m dot physics marks, m dot maths marks, and then the total, that is result function, m dot result. Then we'll write return 0. So return 0. So here first of all m dot chemistry marks will call this function in the chemistry class. So the user will enter the marks scored by him in chemistry. Then this will call physics marks, so the user will enter the marks scored by him in physics subject. Then similarly we will maths marks, they will enter the marks of maths. Then we will call the result function. We will do the total of all the marks scored by the student. We will do the total and then we will display that total. So pretty much it's done. Now we can save it, and now let's try to run this one. There are some errors. Alright, that's a silly one. By mistake we have done this. Alright, now let's save it and run it again. Hope it works now. Yeah, another error, marks. Now let's try again. Now it's working fine. Enter the marks scored in chemistry. Let's say 80. Physics 80. My maths is weak. Let's say 75. 235. Which is the right answer? 80 plus 75 is equal to 235. And using the object of child class, we have called the functions of all of these base classes. Like we have called this chemistry marks function and this physics marks function, which is of base class. And this was a fine example of multi-level inheritance, and this is how we can do multi-level inheritance. So these were some examples of C++ inheritance. You can try some more examples on it, and these were some decent examples. To understand it better, you can start with some basic level examples, then go to the intermediate level. Alright guys, with that we have come to the end of this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I hope it really helped you all. Thanks for watching, stay safe and keep learning.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.